Okay, thanks Mark for coming today
Glad
to
to be
talk
here.
for the program and talk about the bank. And the first thing we wanted everybody to just understand is a little bit of history about Clear Lake Bank and Trust.
Sure. No, I'm glad to talk about that. So we were formed in 1934, right in the thick of the Depression, which is really not the time you wanted to start any business. But in the banking world, those days were very interesting, very different time than today. So banking was kind of a tough business to be in, but that's the genesis and the start of our business was back in the 30s. So we're pretty proud to be 80 some years into this experiment.
What kind of things have you seen over the years as far as trends, both with Clear Lake Bank and Trust specifically and just in the banking industry?
Yeah, so banking, I would say from almost day one has been a hyper competitive business. And I would say today that's never been more true. And we're seeing competition from not only local banks in our markets and credit unions as well, but we also see it from non-bank entities. We're competing now with the likes of Amazon and Google and folks that want to be on the fringes of banking for different reasons than maybe we got into it in the first place. But the good news is in a business like ours, since we've always been in a hyper competitive business, that we're used to it and we will roll with the punches and change and adapt appropriately. So even with that as a backdrop, we're very optimistic about the future.
Good. What kinds of new and exciting things are happening at Clear Lake Bank and Trust that you feel good about?
Yeah, we've got a lot going on. I suppose everybody does, but we think that we've got plenty going on. A couple things I'd mention is our product line. We're really expanding and changing the way that some of our customers choose to do their banking business. In particular, we're seeing a lot more use of digital kinds of channels, and so we've responded appropriately. And we have, any sort of electronic banking product that you might want to have. You can get it from the big guys, or you can get it from us. We have the same kinds of things, whether it's person-to-person payment. On the business side, it's a remote deposit kind of option for somebody who doesn't want to come in physically to the bank every day. Of course, we have all the internet banking related products. So from a product standpoint, I would say that that's one area that we really see expanding and growing and changing, fairly rapidly. I can't go without talking about our building projects as well, and we're pleased to be in four different locations now, two in Mason City, one in Clear Lake, and one in Garner. And in our Clear Lake location, we just ran out of room, so we added on some space, and we're pretty tickled with the new project, and that has helped us accommodate all the employee growth that we've had over the years.
Good. Also, we want to talk today a little bit about the Clear Lake community just in general and how the bank has been impacted by the people of Clear Lake being a part of that community and talk a little bit about that for us.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, I'm glad that you asked. We're very proud to have our roots in Clear Lake, and we've clearly expanded into other markets. And those have been wonderful markets for us, and we can't say enough good things about Mason City and Garner. But Clear Lake in particular is a unique place. It's a small town that has more going for it than any small town I've ever seen. And of course, it starts with the lake itself. But I would challenge you to find another small town that has a public-private partnership like we do. In particular, I would say if this community senses a need or a challenge or something that's lacking, it's very frequent to see the business community sort of bubble that up to the top, and in combination with the chamber and others, take it to the public folks at the city level. And the spirit of that conversation is, all right, how do we get this done? How do we get this fixed? How do we make it happen? And we have example after example of example where that has happened and it's gotten done. And there's really no bigger example than the lake itself. It was a number of years ago now, but the lake had kind of fallen into disrepair itself, and we really needed to spruce it up. It was a large, expensive project, and in combination with the chamber, the city, the state of Iowa, and then private businesses, we got that lake cleaned up, and it's as healthy and as beautiful as it's ever been. That's the lifeblood of this place. So it's a pretty neat secret.
Right. Makes you proud to live here.
It does.
Be part of it. Okay, one last thing. Tell us about anything about the bank that you think people might not know about, or any just unique facts that you think would be fun for people to learn about Clear Lake
Sure.
Bank and Trust.
Yeah, there's lots of banks, so people are often looking for what differentiates you from
Mm-hmm.
anybody else, and for us, it's really the people, and it's you hear that cliche talked about in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
businesses, but in ours, we have a very robust hiring process. We really think carefully about each and every colleague that we add to our team. And our theory, right or wrong, is that if you get the right people on the bus, they in turn will take care of the customer at a level that no one else will.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not afraid to talk about that sort of secret to our
Mm-hmm.
success because, as easy it is to say, it's very hard to replicate and it's
Mm-hmm.
very hard to execute that strategy. So we're very much about our people, and
Mm-hmm.
that really is our little known secret.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you see we win the friendliest teller competition every
Mm-hmm.
year when the
Mm-hmm.
Globe does their survey, so you can see it reflected back in people's opinions about how we're doing with things. So that would be one thing I'd really say is
Mm-hmm.
an important, fairly well kept secret.
Okay. Anything else that you want to talk about today that we haven't mentioned or?
Well, I know we're at a chamber event, and
Mm-hmm.
I can't really stop without saying how proud we are of our association with the Clear
Mm-hmm.
Lake Chamber. There too, I feel like we have a very unique Chamber of Commerce that is so proactive and has so many wonderful things going for a town this size.
Mm-hmm.
You just look at the level of activities and the things that they're doing all year long, and it just makes the town kind of what it is and
Mm-hmm.
special
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways that you don't see in
Mm-hmm.
many other small towns, particularly in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.